My name is Tracy Geddes. I'm 49 years old, almost 50, in a couple of months actually, and I live in Hamilton, Ontario. My happiest memories growing up was staying with my grandma at the seniors trailer park in BC and teaching her and all the seniors how to moonwalk to Michael Jackson's Thriller. And in grade 2, I had a crossing guard named Mr. Secord, and he drove a motorcycle, and he had a really cool, fancy handlebar mustache that he would wax. And I would wait until he was done crossing everybody across the street, and then he would drive me home on his motorcycle, which was the coolest thing ever. So I had a pretty tough childhood. My mom was a young mom, and it was very shortly after I was born. I was a couple weeks old, and she left me with my grandma, and I basically lived with my grandma for the first couple years of my life. I grew up in multiple foster homes. The first one I remember, I must have been in junior kindergarten, and it was somewhere in Quebec. Just growing up in foster care, I was in a different foster home every 8 months or so. I was in 13 by the time I was 15. So it was a pretty unusual and a somewhat hard childhood. And in some of them I had siblings. Some were not so good. There was one in particular that I was in, and they sort of treated me as an afterthought. The final straw, when I finally left there, is they came home with tickets to Disney World and said, well, look at it this way, Tracy, now you have the house to yourself for a week. And that was my final foster home when I was 15. And then I was on my own at 15. I was living on my own. I was getting student welfare at 15, and I got pregnant with my daughter at 17, found myself as a single mom, and I had to drop out at grade 12. And so what I did was, I was really embarrassed about being 17 and pregnant, and I moved out to Alberta. I remember bringing Katie home from the hospital, and I remember sitting on the floor beside Katie's bassinet and looking at her. Oh my God, this is for the rest of my life. And I had, I think, my one and only panic attack I've ever had in my life. I was dizzy, I was short of breath, my vision sort of went black for a minute, and that brief 30 seconds, I thought, oh my gosh, what have I done? This is for the rest of my life. Once you have children, it's for the rest of your life. After that, I thought, meh, I'll do it. I can handle it. And I did. I bought this big old-fashioned pram, like the kind you see in Mary Poppins, the navy blue one. And I would put Katie in the buggy at 11 o'clock at night, and then I would walk downtown to downtown Canmore, and I worked at a place called Ye Olde Fudgery. And I would sit there at night while Katie slept in her pram, and I would sit in front of a vat, a big copper vat of chocolate, and it would spin, and I would feed candy into it, and it would go through the chocolate curtain, and I would take it out on the other side, and I would do that from 11 at night until 7 in the morning. And the place I was renting, it was literally just one room. I had a double bed, Katie had a crib, there was an armchair, and then there was a little tiny bathroom, which was under the eaves, so you couldn't, there was no shower, it was just a tub, and you had to hunch forward to take a bath, and that's where I had to do my dishes too, because there was no other sink. It was tough, but you know, you do what you have to do. I went back to school when my daughter was a year old, and I had a math teacher, Mr. Dugan, and he was wonderful. Katie was a year old, and I remember I called him one morning. He lived next door, and I said, I'm sorry, I can't come to class today. I know we have a test, but my babysitter has canceled. And he said, well, just bring Katie. So I brought her to high school. So after that, whenever I didn't have a sitter, I would bring Katie to school. So everybody knew Katie. So teachers would hold her as they're writing on the board for my classes, and it was really cool. They were very accommodating. So after I graduated, oh, I was so happy. I was so happy because I was the first kid in my whole family to graduate. And I felt I was very proud of myself. And all of my friends who are 18 are going to bars, and they're getting ready for college, and they're having fun, and they're deciding what shade of lipstick to buy, and I'm thinking, can I buy diapers or pay the hydro bill? Yes, I had a really awful childhood. I could use it as an excuse, poor me, and never go anywhere or achieve anything. I could just have a lot of hate in my heart and be always angry. But there's no point in that, and what a waste of a life. It's okay to be sad, and it's okay to be angry, but just don't live there. I had had so many people in my life tell me, you're so strong, you're so fierce. So I felt like if I asked for help, it would almost be me admitting that I'm not strong. My friends have become my family, and I have a really good support system. And I know that if I could just call any of my friends and say, you know what, I really need this, and they would help me out. My son is 24, almost 25. My daughter is 31, almost 32. And my adopted daughter is 27. And I could call any of them and say, I need this, or I'm feeling this, and I just need you to listen. I need a hug. And yeah, because of the way I grew up and moving from so many foster homes, and I tend to put myself last, and I will say yes even if I don't want to. I'm learning to say no, and I think that's the biggest lesson I've ever learned. My daughter Katie said to me once, you know, Amma, you don't have to set yourself on fire to make everybody else warm. And that really hit home for me. So I've remembered that for the last bunch of years. Like, if I could talk to my younger self, I would tell myself, just figure out who you are and do it on purpose. Happiness means being myself, being comfortable, being unapologetic, and being unafraid. Somebody said to me recently, actually in a job interview, how would you handle it if we sat you down and asked you to be a little less Tracy? I said, I like who I am. I'm happy, and if you want somebody less, go find somebody less. It would be a mistake, but go find somebody less. And then they offered me the job. And I still didn't take it. So 3 words to describe me: loud. My friends think I'm witty, funny, because frankly, I'm hilarious. The whole day has been a lot of fun. I was, not gonna lie, just even walking up the steps to knock on the door, even actually getting out of my car at first. I'm sitting behind the wheel, and I had texted you and said, I'm here, and then I'm looking at this basket, and there's like my pink velvet, and there's the gold sequin, and I thought, oh my gosh, I'm really gonna do this. I came in, and it's a very welcoming space. I wondered if I was going to feel intimidated. She just really put me at ease. I had a lot of fun and really empowering. This is such a wonderful process, and it's just so enriching that it shouldn't be 40 over 40, it should be 400 over 40, and we can do a series. It was tons of fun. I've never done anything like this before. I got to bring out some fun outfits, and then looking at the pictures, I thought, oh my gosh, like, wow, I look confident. I look like a lot of fun. Like, I look like somebody I would want to hang out with. I feel very like empowered. I want to throw on that gold sequin dress and just go grocery shopping. So everybody can see how fantastic I look today, because I really felt fantastic. I forget my answer.